I am going to quickly go through these different sections. So if you're not here for the video section, hang on and hold on, and we'll get onto those other sections very quickly. All right. Let's get started. All right. So the first one here is the video workflow. So these 6 products are what create the what consists of the Creative Cloud video workflow. So you've got Prelude, which is your metadata ingest. So basically your rough cuts and logging. Then you would push that over to Premiere Pro, which is where you do your video editing, producing. After Effects, which is your visual effects and motion graphics. Then over to Audition, which is the audio side, so audio recording, mixing, and restoration, to Speed Grade, and then finally, Speed Grade, which is the finishing and color grading, and then 6 is your output. Adobe Media Encoder is your output. Also, which is not on the screen here, would be included is Encore, which is for DVD creation or Blu-ray. We'll cover each of these just a little bit more here in a second. All right. Oh, and I do want to mention too, since we're moving so quickly, we are recording today's session. So if you want to come back and listen to it later on after we've posted it online, that would be good. And then also, if you'd hold your questions to the end, that way we can kind of speed through everything. All right. So the first thing we're going to talk about is Prelude. So Prelude allows you to add direction and organizational comments to specific footage by tagging media and creating rough cuts that flow into Adobe Premiere Pro. So with the ability to work with growing files in real time, Prelude accelerates your editing workflow by letting you log right from the start of an event. So if you've got a lot of video that you're working with, Prelude could possibly really speed up time for you. The next thing we're going to look at here is, that's what Prelude looks like. So you can see multiple videos up on the screen at the same time. All right, so now onto Premiere Pro. Premiere Pro is probably one of the heavy lifters of the video editing products that Adobe has. You'll notice, and I won't say this over and over again, but Adobe likes to promote that their products are very time-saving. So I won't say it over and over again. But that's what they do. They're meant to work together in collaboration. They're different products, and they've really done a good job with some of their new Creative Cloud versions to kind of incorporate them better. So Premiere Pro is a video editor, so it lets you edit. You can import and freely combine virtually any type of media, from video shot on a phone to raw 5K and higher resolution footage. Then you can edit it in its native format without wasting time transcoding. So again, it's streamlined, like they like to say. Effects, there are some effects built into Premiere Pro. You can fix color, stabilize shaky footage, and create adjustment layers to enhance your footage, clean up noise, change speed with time remapping, and more. So, and then we've also got that project and media management. So with Hover Scrub and Rapid Find, it can help you speed things up. All right. Next, we're going to move on to After Effects. That is Premiere Pro. So you can see some of the clips, and down at the bottom of the screen, you've got all those different pieces that are overlapping. On the top right-hand part there, that is your preview. So where you can get kind of a quick preview of what you're working with. All right, After Effects. Here we go. After Effects is for animation and creative compositing, and it's used by a wide variety of motion graphics and visual effects artists. So some of the features are listed here on the screen. There are actually many, many more. So these are just some of the highlights that I selected for today. But the Warp Stabilizer VFX lets you choose which object in the scene gets stabilized, which is pretty neat. Then you've got your 3D camera tracker, which makes it possible to reproduce the original camera movement in a scene, so you can add layers, including video and text layers. Picture motion blur adds realism and exaggerates movement. Mask tracker, which I think is pretty neat, allows you to draw a mask around an object and it follows the object across frames, automatically adjusting position, rotation, scale, skew, and perspective as it goes. Now the live 3D pipeline is a feature that's really neat, and it has to do with the 3D modeling and animation software in Cinema 4D. It can be used directly as footage inside After Effects without rendering it first. So for those of you who have rendered video, you know that can take a significant amount of time. So that's a pretty amazing thing to be able to do. Then the Refine Edge tool, it helps get rid of hard matte lines. Can everybody hear me okay? Let me see. Yes, awesome, great, just checking. All right, okay, so it's the Refine Edge tool is nice because it lets you get rid of hard lines around the edge of, so if you wanted to keep details like frizzy hair or motion blurred edges without mixing with that complex background, it kind of gives you that option to create natural looking composites without keying specially shot footage. So if you've ever keyed something before, I've seen it's pretty detailed work. All right, and then next here, there we go. There's an example of After Effects. You can see some of that's what one of the workspace looks like. All right, next we're going to move on to Audition. And Audition, if you remember, is the one that has to do with sound. So if you want to erase, repair, create sounds, this is one tool that you would definitely want to use. So there's Advanced Sound Design, includes many new enhanced sound design tools, noise generator, pitch blender, so you can create sounds and shape soundscapes. That's a fun word to say, to craft the perfect effect. Then you've also got your preview editor. So this is a really neat feature because it allows you to confirm your edits before you commit. So you can visually compare waveform tweaks, view multiple file selections simultaneously, and confirm time stretching before you apply changes. Also, you've got automatic speech alignment. That's a pretty fabulous feature. Replace location dialogue with studio recording and align it perfectly. Even if the original file includes background noise, you can fix lip sync issues easily and deliver better production value faster. So the next one, I want to show you this screenshot here. If you'll notice on the right-hand side of the screen, there's those little dotted lines. That is an example of a sound remover. So you can go in and outline the section of the sound you want to get rid of. So if there's something like in the background that you didn't really like that noise, you can circle it, select it, and then it will scan the entire clip and remove that element from the recording. So that is a pretty neat feature. This is another, that's another look at Audition. So you can see all the different tracks there that are mixed together. All right, SpeedGrade. When I was doing some research to put this together, I was actually pretty impressed with SpeedGrade. As you can see by all the different colors kind of in the logo there, SpeedGrade has to do with color. So what it does is it helps ensure visual consistency across your production pipeline. So if you've got all different kinds of cameras that you may have used and all different kinds of lighting and settings and places, SpeedGrade helps you unify those and make them look like they belong together. A couple of the features there are direct link. So it really integrates very well with Premiere Pro. So it kind of makes it quick instead of taking quite a long time. Speed looks are camera patches that balance the color spaces of different types of cameras. And it also has advanced grades that look great across all your clips. Shot Matcher. It matches the look of clips that can be a tedious and time-consuming process. It lets you automatically correct for subtle differences in footage to achieve consistent feel between shots within scenes and across your entire project. So here's a look at what's one of the looks of SpeedGrade. So there's your film and some different color selections there. All right, almost done with the video section. So you've got Media Encoder, and this is, it allows you to take basically to do output to just about any format. Automated image processing is one of the features. You can create a customized output of media, including watermarks and timecode overlays, as well as image processing. New GPU rendering. GPUs are a computer chip that perform rapid mathematical calculations, primarily for the purpose of rendering images. So basically what this means is it's new technology that makes it work even faster. And rendering is something that can take hours. So faster is definitely a plus when it comes to that. Match source settings. So if you've got different file types, you can sync key properties with the match source setting option to get better exports. And you can tweak options like resolution and bandwidth while ensuring integrity of your attributes and frames per second. So here's a look at Media Encoder. And the next thing, the final part in the process is creating a DVD or a Blu-ray disc. And that's something you would do with Encore. So you've got background batch encoding, which works well with Media Encoder for the high resolution workflow. So if you've got something that's pretty heavy duty, like 5K or 4K, that normally slow your computer down, that can help kind of run things in the background. All right, and there's a look at, you can see there's a menu, a DVD menu. All right, so next up, we're going to take a look at web and gaming. So I know there were quite a few of you who mentioned web in the earlier chat. So there's a few of you who are looking at that. So the first part, we'll kind of look at some web things like Dreamweaver, and then we'll move over to some gaming things. And since not a whole lot of you look like you're too into web and gaming design, we'll kind of move through these pretty quickly. All right. The first one we're going to look at is Dreamweaver. So Dreamweaver is for web designers and developers to design, develop, and publish projects for any screen size. So if you're going to use Dreamweaver, you need to know how to code. So if you don't know how to code, Dreamweaver is not for you yet. We do have some resources, and we actually have resources for all of these for you to learn more about. So again, that's what we're here today, is to show you what's possible and kind of point you in the right direction of what do I want to learn more about and what's going to meet your specific needs. So, all right, so when we're talking about Dreamweaver, these are some of the really impressive features. If you've got coding skills, live highlight, that enables you to select an image. So if you've got the image kind of on the left-hand side, and then on the right-hand side, you have the coding, then you could select part of the image on the left, and it would highlight the part of the coding that matches that to make it easier so you don't have to search through all your code. Next, we've got modern platform support, so HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, fluid grid layout. That's a neat feature because you can construct web designs and responsive layouts visually. And let's see, jQuery and UI widgets. So user interface, if you've got boring buttons or generic icons, this is one way to get rid of them. And they've improved their code view, and let's see, there's an enhanced CSS designer. So if you want to generate clean web standard code, this can help you do that. So here's an example. So on the left-hand side, you can see this is an image, this is a sample of what they're working on, and the right-hand side, they've got some other options. Oh, and right here, so right now they're in the design view. If you look to the left of that button, you can click on code, which will just give you the code view, or split, so you can have the image on one side and the code on the other. So that's where, when we talked about that, when we talked about the live highlight, you can highlight on the right-hand side or the left, and it will show you the corresponding code or image. All right, so next we're going to move on to Flash professionals. Do I have any gaming gamers or game design folks here? George, I think it looks like you are, and Christina. All right, so this part is for y'all. So we've got Flash professional. Flash used to be around a little bit more on the web, but it's not so much anymore. It is still around, but A lot of Apple products don't cooperate with Flash, but Flash is still alive and thriving in the gaming community. So there's some really neat features in Flash Professional that I thought were pretty amazing. So this is for interactive designers, graphic designers, web designers, developers in the gaming design and technology arena. So one of the great features is that you can test and debug via USB. So if you wanted to plug in like an iOS or Android mobile device directly to your computer via USB, you could test out whatever feature you're working on your mobile device. The pasteboard size is unlimited, so it gives you a huge background area. So content that's positioned offstage, you've got a huge work area to work with. You've also got a powerful code editor and some real-time drawing options. So you can do full previews instantly, fill and stroke color as you draw. So they've really kind of stepped it up to make it move a little bit faster. Also, we've got EdgeAnimate. So this is your HTML animation, also tied to that gaming community. It helps make your animations responsive for different screen sizes. You can add your favorite JavaScript libraries to extend your HTML animation projects. So it does have HTML animation. It has very precise control. So you can edit property-based keyframes and use the innovative pin to quicken the animation process. You can also create nested animations with independent timelines using symbols. It has a broad reach, so it works across iOS, Android, smartphones, and tablets, as well as modern desktop browsers. So there really is a lot you can do with EdgeAnimate. I want to show you an example here really quickly. This was done with EdgeAnimate. So you can see here, I'm just going to scroll down. We've got different animations going on. So this is another, there you go. This is something that you could do with EdgeAnimate. All right, let me get back to where we were. All right, and there's another example of the workspace and how you could, things you can do and animate. That seems like a very exciting program. All right, Fireworks. So Fireworks, this is one of those ones that doesn't really fit neatly into any one of the three programs or three sections we're talking about today. So you could really use this probably for any of those. It's meant to design and rapidly prototype websites, mobile, and application interfaces, and to create and optimize mobile and web graphics quickly and with precision. So here's an example of the workspace. It's ideal for developers and designers really of all type, mobile, web, visual, user experience. You can quickly and cleanly translate your designs for content for websites, smartphones, tablets, themes with jQuery. So there's all kinds of different things you can do with it. All right, Flash Builder, which is also closely related to Flash Professional. This software is meant to develop the environment for building games and applications using the ActionScript language and the open source Flex framework. So Flash Builder Premium includes professional testing tools such as profilers, network monitoring, and unit testing support. So you can develop games with ActionScript. It allows you to code faster. So they've got syntax coloring, statement completion, code collapse, refactoring support, live highlighting of invalid references, interactive step-through debugging, so all kinds of features. And there we go. You can also easily debug and test on locally connected mobile devices. Here's an example of the Flash workspace, the Flash Builder workspace. All right, so this next one, now to be honest, at first, when I first heard about Muse, I wasn't sure how it would really apply to us at SMU, because for those of us who do web design here, we usually use Sitecore, but Muse actually, it's really amazing because you can create websites without writing a single line of code. So if you have no coding skills at all, you can still use Muse to build a website. And this could be really great for some of our students. It could also be great for faculty if you've got a project or something you need a website for. So I'm going to go ahead and show you an example here. So when we talk about Muse, it lets graphic designers create and publish dynamic websites for desktop and mobile devices. It meets with latest standards, and you don't have to write code. That to me is just amazing. So you'll see here, this is an example of their simple site planning. So it's really all very visual, and it's got this great layout. So all you have to do is you can just drag and drop to reorder your web page. And then also at the bottom of your screen, you've got different masters. So let's say you want your heading that you can see in those masters to be applied to every single page. You don't have to you don't have to recreate that header every single time. You can just drag and drop the master to apply it to whatever pages you want that header to show up on. So that is a really, really wonderful feature. Also, let me show you another page here. So there we go. There's another example of working in Muse. You can drag and drop to edit custom navigation, slideshows, content forms, and more on your website. It has interactive widgets that are touch enabled for mobile devices. So you can create a pretty decent site with some of the Muse functionality. It also has social widgets for Facebook and Twitter, so the like and follow buttons, YouTube, Vimeo, Google Maps, and more without copying and pasting code. So they've got some good options there. There's also site previewing and testing. So if you want to preview it on a desktop, smartphone, tablet, you name it, you have that option. You can review websites with, if you're working with a client, you can do that. You can make modifications before it goes live, and you can modify in browser. So that's or edit in browser. That's a pretty great feature. All right. So that's Muse. So next, we're going to move on to design and photography, and that's where most of us are spending a lot of our time. That's where I spend a lot of my time, because I do a lot of the communications for IT. So that's where I spend a lot of my time, and we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about some of those. So let's get started. So the first one we're going to talk about, this is our third and final section, so design and photography. And Lightroom, Photoshop Lightroom is for photography. So if you want to do some pretty amazing photography edits, this is a great place to start. You can do upright. So here's an example. You can see on the left and the right the difference that was applied between the two. So some of the features that we were talking about is upright. Upright, it lets you straighten tilted images. It's a single click edit. You've got radial gradient, smart previews, so allows you to work easily with images without bringing your entire library with you. You can just generate a smaller stand-in file, and any adjustments or metadata additions you make to the files will automatically be applied to the originals. And then also it does some GPS tagging, so if you want a location-based organization, so if you take lots and lots of pictures, that could be one great way to organize them for you. The next feature I want to talk about, or the next program, is Bridge. So if you do a lot of photography and you have a lot of photos to sort through, Bridge could really speed things up for you. Basically what it is it sorts through all of your photographs, and you can do some batch processing. So let's say, for example, you've got a lot of photos and you want to apply a specific effect to all of them. You could do that with by applying one action, and it does it automatically for you the next time you put in all your pictures. Or let's say you want it to automatically sort through and look for fuzzy pictures and get rid of them. You could tell Bridge to do that. So if you've got 200 pictures, it could help you out going through those very quickly. Mini Bridge is basically, it connects with a lot of the other Adobe products. So InDesign, Photoshop, and it talks really closely with them. So here's an example of Bridge from my computer. So I've got some different images and screenshots I've got there. Now InDesign, how many of you do print or digital publications? You can type in the chat there. Let's see. Yes, I see somebody that does. Okay, we've got several here that do. All right. So I do some of our digital publications, and I really like working with InDesign. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of Adobe's products have a little bit of a steep learning curve. And they know that, but they provide a lot of free resources. So in the end of the reference guide that I included in the resources section, there are 14 different free resources. So I really encourage you to take advantage of those. I use them on a regular basis, several of them, and I really like them. But back to InDesign. InDesign is a really great publishing program. So it's for page layout, for print and digital publications. You can use it to design pre-flight and publish a broad range of content and print, online, tablet apps. It's built for designers, pre-press, and production professionals, and print service providers. So magazines, design firms, advertising, newspapers, book publishers, retail catalogs, you name it, a lot of that fits in here. The sync fonts are a new addition. So there are hundreds of different typekit fonts that are included. Some of the new features, and I'll go ahead and kind of show you the workspace here while we're talking about this. Some of the new features are simplified hyperlinks. So they were pretty simple before, not too complicated, but they've sped things up a little bit and simplified. Then also they've got EPUB interactivity that's new, instant font preview, so you don't have to, so let's say you highlight your text and you go up and you're scrolling through the different fonts, it'll give you a preview of what your text will look like instead of having to select and then go back and select a different one and select a different one to find the one you're looking for. You've got digital publishing, so there's some digital publishing options. You can do that on Kindle and Nook. There's and there's one resource that I do want to point out to you. If you're interested in digital publication, one of them is specifically about digital publication examples. So if you're wondering what can I do with InDesign and digital publications, there's some pretty amazing apps that were created, and they've got some great examples to kind of give you a little bit more of an idea there. And it also, that kind of gets into the next one, you can create iPad apps without coding. So that's, it's a pretty amazing feature, but you also have to have, and I will let you know this, the digital publishing suite. So you can create it using InDesign, but if you want to publish it, there's going to be extra fees that are involved, and you probably want to look at that before you go through the trouble of creating an app. So that's an important thing to know. Here's another thing. So you can see on the right-hand side that there are lots of different pages there. You can click and move around to different pages. It's got different guides on the screen. This is you can tell, a long document. So it can handle books, it can handle progress reports, smaller reports, all kinds of stuff. All right, and I want to show you about InCopy. InCopy was something that I learned about and was really excited to learn about because it's used with InDesign, and sometimes I have trouble when I'm using Word and putting it into InDesign. It's made to work with it, but sometimes the formatting gets a little funky. So InCopy is made to be used specifically with InDesign, and it allows designers, writers, and editors to work together. And one of the nice things about it is that they can They can work together with the content management, editing, and layout without overriding each other's contributions. So it's a really neat time-saving option. So you can get in there, edit the text without messing up your layout that you've already spent so much time with already. Okay, so now we're moving on to Illustrator, and Illustrator is personally one of my favorite programs. I like to use it all the time. There are other ones are great too, and just for me, it helps me get my job done pretty quickly. So I'm very excited about this one. We'll briefly talk about it, but I do have another class coming up in April, and we'll be talking about some features that go with this as well. All right, so Illustrator, what does it do, and how is it different than, let's say, Photoshop? Illustrator lets you create vector graphics and software, and it's used, basically, it is used worldwide, but it's used by designers and people who want to create digital graphics, illustrations, typography for print, web, interactive video, or mobile. And if you're wondering, okay, well, what's a vector graphic? Vector graphics, it's one of the most commonly used graphic formats. Basically, what it is, it's when you create a vector image, you can scale it to any size Form Central, and that's included as a part of Adobe. So you do have to have an Adobe ID. How many of you have Adobe ID? If you could type into the chat if you've got one. Let's see. Okay, good. We've got a couple that do. No ID. All right. So some of you do and some of you don't. And Adobe ID is free to get, and it's pretty simple. So we do have, if you have Adobe Acrobat 11 Pro on your computer, you can, and you've got your Adobe ID, you can log into Form Central. So there are free and paid subscriptions. So, but there are some that are free, or they're included with the Acrobat 11 Pro. So I would encourage you to take a look at and see what they've got. So the nice thing about Form Central is it allows you to complete. You can complete them from web browsers, and you can share them with people. So this is Form Central, kind of what it looks like, and this is some of their templates. So if you wanted to find something that was already created and then kind of modify it to your specific needs, you definitely do that, or you can create it from scratch as well. All right, so here's an example of a form in Form Central. And you can see there, if I select it, I've got the form properties. So I can go in and say, okay, I want them to be able to put multiple lines of text, limit character count, required numbers, and all of that there. So it's really neat because you can just go in by the click of a button, tell it what you want it to do, and move from there. All right, I do want to point out, so right here we are saving a PDF in Acrobat, and I want to point out in that top right-hand side where you see where it says that tools, sign, and comment, that if you're in Acrobat, that's where most of your tools are going to be. So we're not going to cover all of the tools today, but I wanted to show you if you want to make comments, that's an option. If you want to sign it, so you can do digital signatures with Acrobat. So there's some options there in the sign field. And then there's also the tools. So if you wanted to edit the text, add images, and then all of those, you see all of those different options here. I don't have expanded. The pages, interactive objects, forms, action wizard, all kinds of different options there. So I did want to point that out to you. So we're not going to go into all those today, but we wanted to kind of show it to you to get you started.